Welcome back to my Pokémon Platinum Hardcore Nuzlocke using only Poison Type Pokémon. In the last episode, we made a ton of progress as we traveled through Eterna Forest, obtained our second gym badge, defeated Jupiter in the Team Galactic building, and we even picked up the TM for Earthquake in Wayward Cave. All of that to get taken out by a Pachirisu and a Chimchar on Route 207. A new attempt is in order. Time to make some progress. Let's do this. I should probably explain what happened. We will be continuing our journey from Route 207 in a brand new attempt, but not before we do a quick update on how we got all the way back to this point at the end of the last episode, which was also 2 attempts ago. In attempt number 3, I simply lost Zubat super early on to a bit of grinding on random Pokemon before I moved into Floroma Town, so I just decided to reset. I can live without Stunky, but I cannot succeed without Crobat for this run. In attempt number 4, guess what? Yeah, I wiped to those Pachirisu again. The goddamn twins. So anyway, that is how we ended up here with attempt number 5. Not much to update based on the Pokemon themselves. The natures actually weren't all that different or impactful at least. We did have a close call against Jupiter, but otherwise everything else went fine. And we actually won the lottery. I still can't retire early though, but I guess an Ultra Ball is just fine. Now let's get back to our regularly scheduled program, and let's start with our revenge on the picnicking couple. And what I really mean by that is, let's play it safe and target each trainer individually. Crobat doesn't run into any significant issues against Chimchar and Camper Anthony, and Rosalia deals with Picnicker Lauren and her little electric Moving on to the rest of the route, just be very careful when going up against any Geodudes that you encounter. Each one will have self-destruct at this level, so just make sure you can take them out with a single strike. Lucas stops us right before our first encounter with Mount Coronet to give us the Versus Seeker and Dowsing Machine. Very nice. We say hello to Mr. Blue Hair Man himself, traverse the rest of this little section, and now we've got Route 208 to fight through. This is a pretty great spot to farm up some experience with our newly acquired Versus Seeker. Both hikers give out pretty decent rates, and we can build up some defense EVs as well if that's something we want. Can someone tell me if mulch is actually useful in any way without hounding your berries the second they are ready to be watered again? It always just seems so pointless to me. We got surprisingly beat up after that route, but at least we've made it to Hearthome City. Upon entering Sinnoh's largest city, we run into a wild Pokemon that we are not allowed to catch. Hey, I don't care if you're my mom's friend. Finders keepers, lady. We then pick up the Shell Bell for some nice early self-healing, watch an episode of Hey guys, my dad's rich, see you later, and then my mom forces us to try on a new dress that we will never use. And finally, we head over to Amity Square to pick up some more items. What the hell do you mean my Pokemon aren't cute enough? You look into Dustox's many eyes and tell him he's ugly. This actually kinda sucks because now we won't have access to the Amulet Coin, the TM for Attract, or the Spooky Plate either. Let's just move on. After a quick training session on those hikers from Route 208, it's time for Fantina and gym number 3. I don't think I commented on it during the walkthrough, but I really love what they've done with this gym layout. If I remember correctly, there was literally nothing to it back in Diamond and Pearl, so it's nice to see a new puzzle and aesthetic. But with the puzzle and trainers now taken care of, it's time for another tough encounter. Let's see how our poison types fare against the notorious Fantina. I lead with our own Ghosty Boy to take on Fantina's Duskull. This was the safest bet, I think, because Haunter isn't going to be as useful against Miss Magius, and it'll also be harder to switch him in onto her own Haunter as well. Duskull misses its Will-O-Wisp, allowing us to pick up a very clean kill with Shadow Punch. And now here comes the fun part. The biggest obstacle this Mismagius poses for us is its psychic coverage with Psybeam, and this is where our only dark type will actually come in handy. Stunky can actually be useful here even if it doesn't deal any damage. The Shadow Ball comes in instead, but luckily we resist that one as well. And then after thinking about it for a bit, I decided to actually keep Stunky in and take one more chance on Poison Gas. The thing is, Mismagius can only hit us with another Shadow Ball, and it won't kill without another crit. As I mentioned earlier in the episode, I can afford to lose Stunky if I absolutely have to. I'd rather not, obviously, but it wouldn't be the end of the world if it happened. The incoming Shadow Ball does not crit, and we get the poison. And now we switch into Crobat to try and bring this thing down. The extra damage from the poison is actually really important here for dealing enough damage to put Mismagius into bite range. It is also extremely important that our Crobat is not only faster, but she's also able to eat the citrus berry as well, giving us more time if we need it. Fantina goes for the super potion, but it should be only a matter of time now before we come out victorious. With her Haunter out now, I switch into some fresh legs. Or leaves, I guess. Let's see if Roselia can bring this one home. We do get the Leech Seed, which is very awesome, and the Haunter goes for the Hypnosis. Luckily, we planned for this scenario, and our Chesto Berry wakes Roselia from his sleep. And we hit Haunter with the Stun Spore in response. After a few life-stealing turns, Haunter falls along with Fantina. Not too bad for a poison team. And our Stunky gets some much needed help on the offensive side as well with the TM for Shadow Claw. Straight from one boss to another, it's time to take on our rival again as we look to move towards Route 209 and Solaceon Town. Let's see if he'll give us more problems this time. We've pinned our flyers against each other to start the fight, but I feel like even with the Intimidate, we've still got a pretty big advantage here. Our first wing attack hits for a solid amount of damage, and Staravia begins throwing up those double teams. We don't miss on our next turn, but we do get smacked with a crit wing attack in response. Another wing attack brings Staravia down, but we've took a pretty big blow there, which might make it more difficult to utilize Crobat for the remainder of the fight. Weasel comes in now, so I switch into Roselia. But not before we get hit with a Pursuit. That is always a terrifying experience. Luckily, I don't believe a crit would have taken us out there, and Roselia is going to have a very easy time against the cute little otter. Barry's Firefall is now in, and I don't really have a great answer for this without Crobat, honestly. I decided to keep Roselia in for a turn to see what he could pull off. Ember wasn't going to kill, even with a crit, because we have such great special bulk. What I was not expecting, though, was Roselia to land the crit on return and take Ponyta out with a single strike. Very nice. Barry sends out his ace, and I switch into Haunter on the withdraw. Again, Crobat would be really nice to have here, but we'll have to make do. I go for the Confuse Ray. And Grotle does hurt itself on the first turn of Confusion. I then switch into Dustox to bring this one home. Grotle continues to go for withdraws, which won't affect our gusts at all, and we are fairly tanky as well, so we should be able to hold our ground. I use Moonlight just in case something goes horribly wrong. And eventually, Grotto falls to our onslaught of wind. Another rival fight completed. Upon entering 209, our Roselia savagely beats down a bunch of baby Pokemon. We pick up the Good Rod, which will be eventually helpful for us later. We pick up the TM for Steel Wing, might be nice for Crobat, and that's it. Pretty easy. When you're not trying to go over every single item pickup, notable trainer fight, and you don't have a single encounter to pick up as well, a lot of these routes should go by very quickly, which is great for progress. I did decide to get a little ballsy and trek into the Lost Tower, even though there isn't really a reward waiting for us until we pick up the HM for Defog. The battles in here are fairly tough with the fog to worry about. We lost a core team member in the last playthrough to a Mischievous and a Murkrow combo, but fortunately we did not run into any other issues this time around. Has anyone really played around with seals in Platinum? Any cool effects out there that make it worth it? I never really spent too much time with it outside of the first couple that you get. Look at this little looking all innocent, but I know who you truly are. Yeah, I'm talking to you. You're lucky there's a fence in between us, buddy. There's nothing really to go over regarding the ruins. We picked up a couple of psychic boosting items which could possibly be used later, but other than that, the evolution stones littered around the place will not serve any purpose for us in this run. However, as we move into the southern area of Route 210, we can pick up the TM for Roost, which our Crobat will absolutely love. Our massive purple bat is already carrying us around as it is, and a healing option just simply puts her over the top. A rare candy and some Moo Moo milk later, and we are off to Route 215 and Veilstone City. Normally this route is fairly simple apart from the mini-boss, I'll call it, at the end of the route, but this time around we actually had an incredibly difficult time against one of the early trainers and their Bronzor. Bronzor might be the most annoying first stage Pokemon of all time. It takes so many hits, and all it does is use Hypnosis with seemingly 100% accuracy, and of course Confuse Ray as well. Everything else went just fine though as we picked up the TM for Shockwave. And now we approach the double battle against Ace Trainers Dennis and Maya. This is always a pretty tough matchup. They have a pretty well designed strategy and decent coverage options. We lead with Crobat and Roselia, and the opposing flower Pokemon is taken care of easily by our Crobat. The goal here is going to be to take out all of the Pokemon from one trainer first, so we can set ourselves up for a 2v1. Gligar isn't too threatening, so this works out pretty well for us. Lickitung is very tanky, which is why we had opted to set up Toxic Spikes earlier in the fight. And with one more pluck from Crobat, Lickitung is put into perfect health range for the poison to finish it off alongside Gligar. Drifblim is out now, and I opted to keep both of our team members in, and overall, it definitely worked out great. With Buizel bringing up the rear, this fight is over. We made it look easy this time around, but trust me, these guys can be a handful if you're not prepared. And as the Ace Trainers fall, we say goodbye to Route 215 and hello to Veilstone City. We've got our usual pillaging of items here, with a hidden vitamin to help with our special attack, a star piece for some extra cash, a rare candy, and a couple of PP ups. Can't forget about our precious lava cookies either in the department store basement, some nice utility based options from the TM corner, and what would a trip to Veilstone be without a clown giving out free containers to children to use for gambling. I love this city. And how about this for a Grumpy Gengar episode? A third boss fight. We say hello to Crasher Wake on the way in, our Crobat flattens the gym trainers into pancakes, I'm kinda getting hungry now, and we are now standing face to face with Maylene and our fourth gym badge. Let's see what she's got for us. I lead with Roselia to conserve our Crobat for the real challenge coming up ahead. Unfortunately, things start to take a turn almost immediately. The fake out hits us for a lot, and we're slower, which was unexpected. The incoming confusion melts our HP away, and we get hit with the status effect on top of that. Can we at least get one attack off here? Thankfully we do, as the Giga Drain connects for a large chunk of damage, and we heal back a ton from not only the attack, but the equipped Shell Bell as well. Things are already kind of looking rough for us. Since we are slower, I don't think there's a reason to switch into anything else here, so I kept Roselia in and hoped for the best. No crit from Confusion, and we break out of our status condition as well, and we get the kill. With Machoke now in, I had to think about my next move for a moment, and ultimately I decided to keep Roselia in for this one. I definitely know we're faster this time around, and another Giga Drain should not only hit for a decent amount, but we should be able to heal a lot of our currently missing health back. After the attack, Machoke hits us with a strength in response. A third crit avoided in a row, but at least Roselia was able to put a ton of work in on Maylene already. I switch into Haunter next, anticipating another strength, giving us a free switch. The Confuse Ray comes out now to try and slow it down, but Machoke breaks through and hits us with Rock Tomb, lowering our speed as a result. I give Dustox a go at this now, and Machoke is able to break through again to set up a Focus Energy, which always puts my mind at ease. Kidding. And a Psybeam on the next turn is just not enough to get the job done. Machoke snaps out of confusion and hits the Rock Tomb. Not gonna lie, I thought that would have hit us way harder than it actually did. Dustox is doing a great job so far. Even more fortunately for us, Maylene does not opt to heal Machoke at all, and another Psybeam brings Chad Jr. down. The big guns come in now, so I switch into Crobat. The Metal Claw hits us fairly hard upon switching in, and we go for a Pluck on the next turn. And I literally forget this every time I play this game. How does this Lucario not have a Citrus Berry? This complicates things greatly for us, and I was not expecting this at all. We go for another few Roosts to try to bring our health back to full. Ideally, it would be great if Lucario misses one of its attacks, and that is exactly what I try to go for here. I continue to spam Roost, just hoping that one of these attacks will miss. Of course, none of them do, so eventually I decide to just go for it at full health, and so another Pluck brings Lucario down to about 1/4 HP. I have to avoid a crit here. And I do, but is Lucario in healing range? Apparently not, which seems very strange to me. She didn't use a single potion against us, even given the opportunity to do so multiple times. I'll have to make note of that for future playthroughs. Maylene just doesn't do healing apparently. In any case, we made it out alive, and with the 4th badge of the run in hand. And with that, this episode is now over. 2 more gyms and a rival fight to boot. Attempt number 5 is looking very solid, and I'm looking forward to the challenges ahead. In the meantime, as usual, please like the video if you liked it, and subscribe for more content like this. That's it from me. I'll see you next time.